Well, I'm a trans man, and I guess I grew up in a town that was very conservative, Christian Reformed, and I think I spent a lot of years of my life just kind of in denial about who I am, and so I guess I grew up in a place where I never even heard about it. I think my parents were pretty liberal, but we never even talked about it. But just the general message out in the world was, Anita Bryant, when I was a teenager, was doing her thing, and gays or whatever, and I think for me, I knew that when I was like 14 or so, all I knew, I was born a girl, okay? And so I'm growing up as a teenage girl and realizing at some point in high school that I don't want any part of this whole dating whatever, and I didn't really know why. I just knew that I wanted to avoid it, and my mom tells me many years later that I remember myself as always being heavy, but that she pointed out to me later that it was right about that same time when I started putting on even a lot more weight. And I think for me, I spent a lot of years of my life kind of hiding behind that, and started drinking and drugging at 14. And so, a whole part of my life is about accepting who I am and trying to be open to who I am. And so it's important for me to get involved with LGBT. I want other people to feel freer than I did. I mean, my story was, I was 27 years old before somebody finally said to me, I think you're gay. And I'm like, really? You think I'm gay? And let me think about that. Let me talk about that. Am I a lesbian? What, how do I know? I mean, and I finally realized that, yeah, well, because I spent a lot of years maybe considering myself asexual and just not even being involved with it. And at some point I realized, yeah, I am into women. And the more I think back on it, when I was a teenager, I remember being attracted to women. And I mean, my story is that I lived several years as quote unquote lesbian, even though I never really liked that word, it never really felt comfortable to me. I sort of lived around that community. I never really felt part of that either. And finally, I met other people who were gender variant and started, becoming more comfortable with that part of me. And now I live, I'm 46 now, and I live my life as a man, but that's very recent. I've only legally, been able to get my birth certificate changed like maybe 2 years ago. And so I fight for myself and I fight for everybody else, because people are just people, and we all have our faults, and we all have the things that we're good at. And I walk around in the world afraid a lot of the time, because I know that not everybody is the same way. And I hear so many horror stories, and it's sad because I limit myself sometimes, because I do walk around afraid. Every time I walk into the restroom, it's like I get scared. You know what? And that's one of the reasons that I really finally, instead of living in the middle, decided to transition. Because when I was in the middle, I would get run out of restrooms one way or the other. I guess that's why I keep coming back. I mean, that's why I go to Michigan Equality. That's why I go to the American Friends Service Committee. That's why I go to all these places. I just somehow want to try to make a difference for people. I'm still fighting every day, even though I accept myself in a lot of ways now. I'm still fighting to be like whatever that the psychologists that talk about being fully actualized. I hold myself back a lot because of all the things I perceive in the world to be against me. I'm pretty accepting of other people. I'm not so accepting of myself, and it's kind of like I'm fighting for my life sometimes,